Alrighty, how are we all doing today? And welcome to my channel. This channel is for educational purposes. And we check into great theories and concepts and discoveries that you might not know anything about because they've been suppressed, and there are people out there that are actively trying to make sure that you don't find out about this. But not only that, but you probably are unconsciously trying to make sure that you don't find out yourself about it because uh, some of it is emotionally difficult. You might have to question some of your most cherished beliefs. Some of it is mentally difficult. You might have to pick your brain. You might have to strain your brain to get some of this. So it's not an easy channel, but um, nothing is easy. And for truthers, usually the difficult path is the one that's going to lead you closer to the truth. And this is a feature here that we call the Q-tip of the spear. And this is for the truthers out there, the patriots, and the sovereign warriors who have been fighting against the globalists, the conspirators, and this is just a recap of some of the day's events, and usually from the perspective of some of the tip of the spear podcasters I listen to. And, I pretty much sing the same tune. I feel like this InfoWar is over. We're in the mop-up phase. The globalists have been defeated, and they have not quite raised the white flag yet. But they basically just have their king and maybe a pawn or two, and we've got several powerful pieces still roaming around the board. So it's just a matter of maneuvering a little bit and being a little bit patient, and it will be checkmate. As long as we don't make any really disastrous moves, several disastrous moves. And now, I think the key, though, is that I don't think you want to sit around and eat popcorn and enjoy, savor the fact that the enemy is about to get punished, and that you got to have a front row seat to watch the punishment. Um, that could, I think, lead to some bad results. Um, Instead, consider redeploying yourself and getting yourself over and starting to prepare the way for other people and yourself for the red pilling that's going to be necessary for the implementation phase of the Golden Age, or the Age of Aquarius, or the 5D consciousness, whatever you want to think about it. Um, to move into that new space is going to require a new and improved human, and not one that just goes along to get along, not one that just follows the rules, or becomes loyal to what they are comfortable with, and doesn't check or question their perspectives. These will not do. We're going to need, there's a higher standard. And especially if you're the implementer rather than the implementee, you can sit around and complain a lot about what other people have or haven't done. But when it's your responsibility to put the plan into action, you better have your act together. And we don't. We don't have our act together. we have no idea what we're talking about as far as our belief systems, our culture, our rituals, our habits, in particular, our diet, our health. You know, I listened to a podcast today. Everybody's just laughing and joking about how fat and out of shape they are. Well, you might have done a lot of digging and you might really understand the info war, but if you're fat and out of shape, you're still not going to make the cut. Um, sorry to tell you that. This is a different kind of standard, and it's more exacting. And so, the first thing is that you need to figure out, you know, get some discipline and get your workouts in, but also figure out what you should be feeding yourself. But I think even more so is the religious part and the belief systems, the culture. These are things that you can't just take what you've inherited and try to move forward with that and play these kind of us versus them games. And then, that they're so bad, and you caricature them, but you don't put any scrutiny at all into us. Um, and you claim to be all about friction. You guys are, you know, the ultimate in irony. You claim to be about friction, but you're really peddling lotion. You know, um, you're you're lubricating everything, but you claim that you're all about friction. All as long as it doesn't get into certain areas, maybe. But I dare one of you to get me onto your show and let me loose and see what the facts are, and um, what the evidence is for your belief systems, because you can hide behind other people and you can hide behind virtue signaling, but really, the truth is there's nowhere to hide. And ultimately, you don't want to hide because we're moving into an age where there is no such thing. There's going to be no secrets. There's going to be no place to hide. Everything is going to be out in the open. And you know so right now is the time to redeploy yourself. The victory is in hand against the globalists, but reject the temptation to watch them suffer, and instead get yourself into a space where you can work on yourself and continue to red pill yourself. Go further back in time. Take your digs back further. Take some psychedelics. Get some exercise. Get some sunshine. Figure out your diet. I'll give you a hint. If you ever get sick, you're not on the right diet. If you need supplements, you're not on the right diet. If you ever, don't have energy to work out, you're not on the right diet. If you have any questions, I've got a lot of videos on this channel, and I would be happy to answer any questions, or at least attempt to answer any questions, or at least give you another question to counter the question that you asked. Um, I don't have all the answers. I have the questions, and I have some hypotheses, and I have a lot of life experience playing the guinea pig for my personal experiments on these various things. Um, so I have gone down a lot of blind alleys, and I might be able to prevent you from doing the same. All right, like, share, subscribe, comment, contribute, and we'll see you next time on the Q-tip of the spear. Thanks for tuning in today, and have a great day.